Hello and welcome to Matiq News. I'm Ava.
And I'm Akash.
In today's episode, we explore how India navigated a world split by the Cold War.
Caught between the United States and the Soviet Union, choosing independence or alignment.
From shifting alliances to the distiming moment of 1971.
This is episode 3 Cold Wars and Warm Promises, Endgame India between two worlds.
By the mid 1960s, the world felt like it had split clean down the middle. America and its allies on one side, the Soviet bloc on the other, and in the uneasy, fragile space between them stood India, neutral, determined, and more alone than it looked on paper.
Non-alignment wasn't just Nehru's foreign policy, it was India's emotional armor.
After centuries of being told whom to obey, India wasn't about to be told whom to side with.
But in Washington, independence felt like indifference.
The Cold War wasn't optional not to the Americans.
Every nation was a square on a global chessboard.
And India said, we're not playing your game.
Exactly. But history doesn't give anyone the luxury of standing still.
1962 happens, the Sino-Indian War.
A shock that shook India's confidence to the core. For the first time, the US saw India not as a bystander, but as a counterbalance. To China, President John F. Kennedy sent supplies, advisors, equipment, a gesture of real warmth.
So, a turning point?
A flicker, yes. But flickers fade. Kennedy's death, Nehru's declining health, leadership uncertainty on both sides. By the time Indira Gandhi took office in 1966, the girl had bimmed.
Indira had a very different instinct, don't she?
For Indira, the Soviets offered reliability, no moral lectures, no conditions, no pressure to choose. And in 1971, she made a historic move, the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Peace, Friendship, and Cooperation.
And meanwhile, the world is catching fire in East Pakistan.
Genocide. Millions of refugees flooding into India. Indira Gandhi begged the US to intervene, to stop the brutality.
But President Richard Nixon and his national security advisor, Henry Kissinger, had their eyes elsewhere.
Because Pakistan was their bridge to China?
Yes, and China was their bridge to the Soviet. India's pleas clashed with America's grand strategy.
And then the US sent the Seventh Fleet.
December 1971, an American naval task force entering the Bay of Bengal pointed unmistakably at India. To Washington, it was a warning. To India, it was an insult, even a threat.
And India still won the war, still liberated Bangladesh.
It wasn't just a military victory. It was a declaration of independence, not from Britain this time, but from American influence. India walked out of that war believing we will not be intimidated.
And the relationship froze?
The 1970s were thrust, sanctions, strained diplomacy.
India leaned deeper into the Soviet orbit, MiG aircraft.
Space cooperation, nuclear conversations. Washington watched from a distance.
But even then, there were sparks, right?
There always are. Peace Corps volunteers teaching in rural India.
Cultural exchanges.
American universities opening doors to Indian scholars, many of whom would later reshape Silicon Valley, medicine, academia.
So even when governments turned their backs, people didn't.
People rarely do.
Friendship often survives where diplomacy stumbled.
And then a Cold War began to fall.
By the 1980s, the word was shifting. The Soviet Union weakening. America uncertain after Vietnam, India more confident, more assertive.
Suddenly, the walls weren't as tall, high, or as solid as they seemed.
But scars stay.
Yes. For India, 1971 proved that self-reliance is survival.
For America, it proved that even democracies can drift away if trust is mishandled. Both walked into the post, Cold War world wiser sound, and a little wary.
And in that wary space, something new began, didn't it?
I respect, not for alignment, but for independence. Because diplomacy, like friendship,
doesn't begin with agreement. It begins with understanding where the other refuses to bend.
Next episode, the Cold War ends, and so does the old script between India and the United States. India's Cold War journey proved that independence often demands courage.
And that diplomacy isn't just about power, it's about principles.
If you enjoyed this episode, like, share, and subscribe to Matiq News.
Next episode, we dive into the brain drain, how Indian minds reshaped America's machines and, in turn, India's future.